Looks like Putin has gone too far. Donald Trump has officially signed an order that lifts any restrictions on American weapons striking Russian territory. Moreover, Trump has called on American military agencies to cooperate with the armed forces of Ukraine to strike the energy and oil infrastructure of the Russian Federation. The Wall Street Journal writes today that the United States will provide Ukraine with intelligence for long-range missile strikes on Russia's energy infrastructure. Well, right now the Trump administration is weighing a decision to provide Kyiv with more powerful types of weapons that would allow them to strike a wide range of targets on Russian territory. And besides Tomahawk missiles, other quite interesting options are also being discussed. At the same time, Volodymyr Zelensky publicly stated today that until now, Ukraine had attacked Russian territory only with Ukrainian weapons. But starting today, American missiles will also be launched at Russia. And this is the result of his meeting with Donald Trump. My name is Pechiy. Today is October 2nd. Let's discuss this topic together now. There are some insights. We'll talk about what weapons the Americans want to provide besides Tomahawks and what expansion means. Expansion of intelligence sharing. Before we start this episode, I ask you to subscribe to this channel. Give it a like. Leave any comment you want under this episode. This helps promote the video on YouTube and I would appreciate it. If you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you can do so with any donation using the links and details in the description of this video. It says there, support the YouTube channel Pechiy. Choose any method that is convenient for you. There are also options for YouTube sponsorship, Patreon, PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, bank details, and even crypto wallets. Choose any option that is convenient for you. I will be grateful for any support from you, any support. So, the Wall Street Journal, citing sources in the White House, stated that United States President Donald Trump recently approved involving intelligence agencies and the Pentagon to help Ukraine prepare for long-range strikes. That is, from now on, by Trump's order, American intelligence and the United States Department of Defense are required to work with the Ukrainian armed forces to coordinate strikes against Russia. At the same time, American officials are also urging their allies. Trump's idea is that all NATO countries should not just provide weapons to Ukraine, but also fully assist the Ukrainian armed forces in carrying out strikes against the Russians. Well, as you understand, the expansion of intelligence sharing with Kyiv is the latest evidence that Trump is deepening his support for Ukraine. After his attempts to advance peace talks with the deranged dictator Putin reached a dead end. According to Trump administration officials, the White House will for the first time help Ukraine carry out strikes using long-range missiles, specifically against energy facilities deep inside Russian territory. I emphasize not military targets, but specifically energy facilities. That is, the White House has acknowledged the effectiveness of Ukraine's tactic of striking Russia's oil refineries and in general the country's oil sector. And let me remind you, recently Trump's special representative Kit Kellogg stated that Ukrainian strikes on the oil sector of the Russian Federation are bringing more results than even Western sanctions. Well, in the end, Trump decided to be involved in the destruction of Russia's oil infrastructure. At this point, some viewers might say stop. So, the United States has been providing intelligence to Ukraine for a long time already. So, what's the news? Yes, indeed, the United States has been helping Kyiv carry out drone and missile strikes for a long time. However, expanding intelligence sharing means that Ukraine will have better capabilities to strike. I emphasize oil refineries, pipelines, power plants, and other facilities far from its borders. The main goal now is to deprive the Kremlin of oil revenues necessary to continue the war. Previously, the United States restricted the sharing of intelligence data more by territory. That is, for example, they did not provide information there about, the condition and location of certain energy facilities in Russia. According to other officials from the Trump administration, the United States is also considering providing Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles, as well as Barracuda missiles and other American ground and air-launched missiles, with a range of about 800 kilometers. At the same time, according to them, a decision on whether to send weapons, and if so, which ones, has not yet been made. So, if you've definitely heard about the Tomahawk, you might not have heard about the Barracuda. The Barracuda is a new lightweight cruise missile drone with a turbojet engine from Anduril Industries, which was only put into service in 2024. The Barracuda's range varies from 220 to 925 kilometers depending on the warhead. The maximum warhead is 45. The main feature of the Barracuda isn't even its destructive power, it's its speed. Thanks to the turbojet engine, these missiles fly at a speed of 900 kilometers per hour. That's almost like Storm Shadow. Another advantage is that this missile drone can launch from multiple platforms. The manufacturer's website states that these missiles can be launched from high-mobility artillery rocket system. In addition, these same missiles can be launched from F-16 fighter jets. So essentially, it's a kind of jet-powered drone. You can't hit anything large with this missile. Aye. But for targets like an oil refinery, an oil pumping station, a substation, or a transformer, it's just right for striking those kinds of targets. It's fast, maneuverable, and quite destructive. Russia can't handle slow Ukrainian drones as it is, and the Barracuda is several times faster, which could significantly speed up the destruction of Russia's oil sector. Those in the West worried about escalation can point out the United States is only providing regular combat drones, not Tomahawks. They're just drones. And now, intelligence data combined with powerful types of weapons can have a much greater effect than before. Ukrainian strikes on Russian territory are causing greater damage specifically to the energy infrastructure. And one of the American officials said that before providing the relevant information, the United States is waiting for written instructions from the White House. Trump has signed one order, but due to the declared shutdown, some officials are waiting to receive the letter. And here's where it gets interesting. Recently, the Trump administration approved the sale to Ukraine of air-launched missiles with extended-range ammunition capable of. And today, on October 2nd, the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, stated that Ukraine is currently using only its own long-range weapons to strike Russian territory. However, he emphasized that after meeting with his American counterpart Donald Trump, Ukraine might have something more to respond to Russian attacks. Let me remind you, last week Zelensky already said that he had asked Trump to provide Tomahawk missiles. And the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, said on Sunday on Fox News that the United States is considering such a request from Ukraine. The approval to provide additional intelligence came shortly before Trump, in a social media post, expressed his irritation with Vladimir Putin and stated that Ukraine could regain control over all the occupied territory. Moreover, according to American officials, Trump previously emphasized that Ukraine would not be able to win without the ability to strike deep into Russia. After that, Trump said that Ukraine has every chance to win. And here is a scenario for striking Russia. And here, remember that the Trump administration limited Ukraine's access to powerful types of weapons and the volume of intelligence sharing. In particular, Trump's team stopped new deliveries of ATACMS missile systems, which the United States began sending to Ukraine during the Biden administration. The Pentagon later introduced a procedure for approval in each case when Ukrainians want to use these missiles. This kind of veto mechanism since the spring of this year has not allowed Ukraine to launch American ATACMS at Russian territory. At least according to the Wall Street Journal, Ukraine requested to use these missiles on a target in Russian territory already this year, but the Trump administration refused. Now the situation is changing. In recent days, Trump has received several similar briefings about the situation on the battlefield and is focused on the lack of territorial gains by Russia. And in his public speeches, he has been critical of the pace of Russia's advance in the war. Basically, he and his team now only talk about how the Russians are getting crushed. Hundreds of thousands of their own soldiers on the battlefield and achieving nothing. The Kremlin reacted cautiously to the reports that the United States might provide Ukraine with new, powerful types of weapons. And as Peskov said today, quote, "The question remains, who exactly can launch Tomahawk missiles even if they end up on the territory of the Kyiv regime? Will only Ukrainians be able to do this, or American military as well? Also, who exactly will determine the targets for these missiles? This requires very careful analysis. Well, in short, it's a new red line from Putin, who today threatened the whole world with a big war, but at the same time assured that Russia will not attack NATO. And really, it's silly to even think about it. But that's already in another episode on the YouTube channel, where it's already out about today's speeches by the dictator Putin at the Valdai conference. If you haven't watched it, go to the channel, make sure to subscribe and check it out. I'll leave it at that here. Share your thoughts in the comments below. That's it for now. Take care and goodbye.